Welcome, Tiny Hands Big Dreams, here on the homestead in southern Ecuador. We have a situational update. Not our situation specifically, but as the situation in Ecuador. This is important if you either A, live here, or B, are thinking of moving, living, coming, visiting.
All of those things.
Stuff is happening. Like big stuff. So it started with the sky vehicles. Which is what we call it, like a bunch of lost tribal people. Anytime there's any sort of, we don't get a lot of air traffic here. So anytime there's some sort of helicopter, airplane overhead, we all run outside and go, oh, sky vehicle. Because we're headed towards maybe the Aboriginal mindset. And then we try to identify it, and they're low. Now there's not a lot of helicopters in our region, so that's unusual.
We don't get a lot of any sort of aircraft activity at all.
There's occasionally one we think goes to the one big gold mine.
It's rare.
Yeah. And then we saw another one, and
many a day.
And then
multiple.
The same one again, and we're like, so we've seen at least 3 different helicopters. There's not that many around here. What are you doing? And they flew low over us. So it turns out, we think, conjecture.
Well, there's more to this story, remember?
Okay.
So there's the helicopters, and then we go on our every week Sunday excursion to Yanzaza, and we pass so many military vehicles, people, things.
Oh yeah.
Over and over and over and over, which again is just not out here often.
Yeah, covered trucks full of dudes in full military gear.
And they're like, oh, okay, what's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on?
What's going on? Something's going on.
And then we see the news.
Now, I've been told by locals, including the police, that Paquisha was a particular hot spot in the local area that had cartel activity because there's gold. And because there's gold, literally the town itself, you can just go and mine the river right there, and you can pull some amount of gold out of it. So that whole area is part of the giant gold seam that the gold mining, the big interests are going after. Paquisha just happens to be there. So they've had a lot of interest from the cartels, which has turned into an issue.
With extortion and violence and all kinds of cartel-related activity.
The poo heads follow the money.
Yeah.
And they do whatever they're going to do.
In case you don't know, the gold mining, the illegal gold mining, is a lot of where the money comes from for the gangs, the cartels. That is a huge part of their finances.
Yeah.
So they go together. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. There was a large operation. National police, military, local, the whole thing. Went into Paquisha and arrested a whole lot of guys. We think
what we were seeing was them. We're not really, we're sort of close to Paquisha, but it's a long drive from where we are. It's all the way down a thing or something else.
Everything here is, even if as the crow flies, it's not that far. You got to go up and around and down a thing, another valley.
We think we witnessed reconnaissance missions by helicopter, who went the non-direct way to get there to sneak in and around, not following the main road in and out. Because then it was the next week, suddenly there's all these arrests.
Yeah.
And they're cleaning it up.
The helicopters have pretty much completely stopped.
So this is part of the news of, so these things have been happening. They've been happening for a long time apparently, and they've been sort of allowed because there is some levels of corruption up through the echelons of the police, even the military, and in the government.
The justice system.
And into the justice system.
Which is a huge issue.
So this sort of it's it's existed, but all of a sudden there's happenings. They are, and we see it left, right, front, center, this, that. They're getting arrested. They're getting shut down. Stuff's happening. Now, they are scattering, splintering. Whole organizations are being taken down.
Now, as we see the major players, the major cartels, sort of being splintered apart. We are also noticing more violence heading south, which historically hasn't been a super high activity place. If you get to the very south of the country, we've talked about it has issues with the Peruvian border.
Which is bad.
Super bad. But like Loja area has been relatively safe historically. There have been instances both in Loja and in Yanzaza, probably Zamora as well. Those are just the two that I happen to know about, of cartel-related violence. That's going to happen as they get pushed out of other cities and other areas. There's also gold in this area, so you're just going to have that push out.
Now, in the cases that happened, there was one in Loja, there was one in Yanzaza. They did arrest the people. Like, they weren't like, oh, we don't know, and people were just killed. No, like, it's rather impressive. Yeah. Like, I'm used to seeing this in the U.S., and they're just like, oh, there's a suspect at large. Nope. No, boom, arrest.
Because these are cartel related, they usually know the players involved, and it's not that hard to simply go get them.
Yeah, I guess so.
A lot of it is on, but there's footage of a lot of it.
The ones in Loja, they said they were from Machala, which is the coast.
Yeah.
Well, the coast they've been going after, Guayaquil they've been going after, so you're watching these groups sort of splinter out, I think, and start to disperse because they're going after their
hub.
Yeah, their hubs. So it's just sort of, I mean, if you have a hornet's nest and you're going to take down the hornet's nest, there's going to be a bit of, they're going to go everywhere for a minute. You're going to get most of them. Some are going to get away. There's going to be little problems, things like that's kind of what's going on. But there's like real happenings of like, this isn't.
You're getting serious.
This isn't just some sort of like, I don't know, lip service. We're going to do something about crime kind of politician crap.
No,
this is real action. Like this is really. And there was talk about they modeled it after El Salvador, who went in and just with no apologies, just arrested the poo heads, put them all in jail, turned it into one of the safest countries in the world from one of the worst in a very short time. And just went, that's how you do it. You just put the criminals in jail, all of them, quickly.
Yeah. Now there's two things in sort of the upper levels of all of this. And one, well, which one are you thinking?
No, go ahead.
So the part of the issue is that the justice system, as in the actual judges in this country, are terribly corrupt, which they are in lots of places.
I'm sure there's some good ones. We don't know them personally.
In general, they're very corrupt, specifically in collusion with the cartels, which means this has been ongoing for, I don't know, decades, probably at least. Arrest the cartel members, and they're let out.
Yep.
That didn't solve anything.
There's things.
Like, what are you going to do?
They simply get,
Well, the judges just let them out. And if they do go to prison, they get out of prison. Which is what started a lot of kerfuffles a few years ago,
in the prison system.
Because one of the main leaders escaped, which basically just meant he escaped himself with the right connections.
Right. So this goes back. There was the great one of the few instances in the world where a foreign embassy has been breached. Ecuador went into the Mexican embassy in Ecuador and pulled a dude out who was part of the governmental corruption, who was like the vice president, the previous vice president. Violated the embassy, took the dude, even though they were giving him a sanctuary kind of status.
Nope.
Mexico still hasn't.
Mexico's got a little bit.
They're pissed. They pulled their embassy and they won't even talk to Ecuador anymore. And the last we heard from Naboa on it was just like, oh, like we should sit down and talk about it and have ceviche or something. Like, it's like, no,
that's really cool about
he's not making apologies of we're going to get the corrupt people out.
Yeah.
And this is, we keep seeing this. So then you see. And we see a lot of anti-Naboa stuff in the press. The press seems, for a large part, aligned against him.
Certainly some of it.
And lots of like all these like criticisms of little things in something, or he's not doing something. Or
I love when people blame him for like the landslides.
Oh yeah, it's Naboa's fault. Now you're just calling him a god.
It's just being silly.
But we watch, and we take the big view. We're just two gringos out in the middle of nowhere.
Well, we also have such a different perspective because we are here and we count this as our home, but I think it is a different perspective. We also have a perspective of having lived in the U.S.
Yep.
And perhaps seeing a larger country and its dealings.
So we watch, and Noboa takes all these trips, and they're like, oh, he's not here, he's not doing things, he's taking all these trips. Every time he goes somewhere, wait for it, something happens with that country later on. And he went and he's like, oh, he's just sightseeing around in the UAE and Spain, Portugal,
Italy,
Italy,
a whole bunch of South American countries.
And then suddenly, heads of cartels in those countries getting arrested, things, conjunction, something. Oh, he's meeting, with Trump. Oh, he's just so terrible. Suddenly, agreements happen. Suddenly, the U.S. is working with Ecuador. Suddenly, there's money flowing in from the U.S. to help with technology and some other things to help route these guys out. And now...
So, there's a lot of... I watch the expat groups on Facebook and things. And I see a lot of, like, people kind of against the idea of the U.S. being involved in Ecuador, which I don't necessarily disagree with.
Look,
Most of us left for a reason. Whatever those reasons are, you have wanted to have space from the United States. Totally fair. However, the U.S. has power, a lot of power, in a lot of ways.
And money.
Well, that's part of the power. They have financial power. They just have a power by standing in the world. You kind of need their help sometimes. And they're willing to help. And it benefits them to help because the drugs that go through Ecuador, a good portion of that goes to the U.S.
Mostly Ecuador is not the consumer.
Oh gosh, no, this is
Ecuador does not really have a drug problem. They're expensive.
It's too poor of a country for the drugs, honestly.
Europe has a buying habit of like cocaine. The U.S. has a buying habit. But we just saw they extradited some local mobster head. Fito. And they busted him and his house and his thing and his whatever, and that was a whole story. And then they extradited him to the U.S. and we're like,
that's so random.
Wait, what?
Why are you extraditing?
What did he do in the U.S.?
Ecuadorian citizen to the U.S.
Who's part of Ecuadorian like corruption?
And then it dawns on us.
So remember that judicial problem? They can't put him in the Ecuadorian system now.
He's the one that got out.
Because he has known connections to all of it.
He's already gotten out of prison once. He's going to get out again.
So until they fix, and there is movement to fix the judicial system.
And the prison systems.
So now, so they extradite him to the U.S. The U.S. is going to hold him on whatever charges he's violated U.S. laws. Probably for some time. It doesn't even have to be that long while they fix the judicial system. So then they can bring him back and then try him in Ecuador for Ecuador crimes and put him in jail correctly. So then we see that there was a negotiation with the U.S. and Ecuadorian gangs have now been put on the foreign terrorist organization list for the U.S., which opens up more U.S. money, more U.S. military assistance, more...
Also the ability to then extradite them to the U.S. because they're now a larger criminal.
Yes. Which, remember that visit to the U.S.? He's just palling around and something's playing golf. You're not looking at the big picture. The man seems to clearly be going and working out deals in secret that then play into his future. And so far... I think he's doing a heck of a job as a president, and he's actually doing it. But he's going around, he's cutting deals, he's working with the rest of the world, he's being a world leader of a country, he's getting the best he can for his people. I am not a believer in government in general. I think it's mostly... we could use less of it, but sometimes there is a need for things like this, and
well, you certainly need a government that is not in collusion with criminals, because that's not good. We all know that's not good. That's not going to end well.
That's the worst. That's the worst of every possible scenario.
It hasn't been good historically for Ecuador at all.
No, it hasn't been good for any country when the people in charge are also the criminals.
So it seems to be something that is... I mean, it's going to take a long time to resolve.
It'll take time.
How long. But there have been a lot of improvements in not that long.
To the point where we're seeing action here in our little secret valley off in the middle of nowhere. And then arrests and things. And we're watching the illegal mining way down.
Yep.
way down. There's so much equipment that is not suddenly in the river operating. There's
And again, there's going to be people who see both sides of that. I see both sides of it. It's going to change the economy. There are people that were able to make money that now can't. That is a problem. But the illegal mining was causing so many other issues.
they have to convert it to legal means under,
to protect people, environment, society, everything.
It's like you should be able to do whatever you want up until it drastically affects your neighbor or your future generations by pollution or something. And then, like, you have to take a different view of some of these things.
And if they can kind of rein in the mining, still possible, but in a legal way, then that also roots out a lot of the corruption and the cartel activity with the mines.
Yeah.
Which means that will be less and less of a problem.
That's their cash cow right now.
Which I think, and I can't remember who it was someone in the military, I think, that said, like we have to remove their funding, and their funding is essentially the mines.
Well, that was the other part of it, of now that the gangs are classified as a US FTA and foreign terrorist organization, and the US has control of the world banking system enough, they can seize assets worldwide. Yeah. They can not just take away the source of the money, they can take away any ability to move the money, keep the money, invest the money, fancy house in Miami sort of money. They can just seize it.
Yep. Which can really just put a huge stop to all of this.
Because the world operates on the computerized banking system.
Yeah.
Interesting times.
Yeah.
Interesting times.
I still have all the hope for Ecuador.
Yeah. But like just yesterday, I was out and I got stopped by the police, and the guy gave me the Instagram, and I just roll up holding my cedula, which is like your ID, and my driver's license, like out the window. I'm like, good morning. I don't even wait for them to ask for it, and they're like, oh, okay. And they look it up, and he looks at me, he's like, oh, you're American, yeah. And he's like, would you have a passport? Yeah. And he's like, where is it? I'm like, keep it with me. Like,
we
it's at home.
stopped carrying it around when we had cedulas.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm a permanent resident. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I don't need that. He's like, okay, thank you. And he said thank you in English and let me go on my way. I am not a poohead.
But they are stopping people in this area, basically Zamora and out the Oriente, because they are really cracking down on this area and all of the illegal nonsense going on.
They're doing it.
They're doing it.
And I actually, I have great hope that they're going to get control of it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
maybe without quite the haste that El Salvador did. They went a little rough on it, but their problem was a little worse, and they're a little smaller of a country.
And there's different approaches. There's sort of just that approach, but I think there's a different approach with the particular problems here.
Yeah.
Of just being a little bit more calculated.
A little more calculated.
Yep.
So that's our situational update. If you're interested in moving here, the Oriente, I still wholeheartedly say the Oriente is the safest place in Ecuador. If you're interested in moving,
yeah,
we like it. We have no qualms about living here, letting the kid run around freely, like anywhere we go.
No.
No, it's good.
Yep.
Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Catch us for the next one, because there's always the occasional next one. Thanks for watching.